The Devil in Jump Boots, Herbert Sobel.
Known as the Devil in Jump Boots and a petty tyrant, Herbert Sobel was one of the strictest U.S. Army officers during World War II. To historian Stephen Ambrose, who wrote the book Band of Brothers, U.S. Army officer Herbert Sobel was a petty tyrant put into a position in which he had absolute power. To Major Richard Winters, who served under Sobel, he was just plain mean. But while this portrayal of Sobel has been dominant for years, his loved ones tell a different story. Sobel, they say, was perhaps not the most effective field officer, but he was an exceptionally talented administrator and training officer of the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment's Easy Company during World War II. According to them, his efforts were the foundation of the Easy Company's later success in battle and their eventual renown as war heroes. It may be impossible to say which version is the truth, but the full story of Sobel reveals a much more fascinating and nuanced figure than the one that's often shown in popular culture. From the very beginning, Herbert Sobel took his job very seriously, and he quickly gained a reputation as one of the strictest officers in the entire U.S. Army. As a member of the 506th, Richard Winters put it, under Sobel, Easy Company would be the first and the best in everything it did. He expected Easy to lead the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment in every measurable category, and he intended that Easy Company would be ready when it entered combat. Sobel wanted Easy Company to train harder than other companies. He famously forced them to run up a 3-mile logging road that wound around nearby Currahee Mountain. And although Sobel himself wasn't particularly athletic, his men credited him with being persistent. One of his soldiers, Donald Malarkey, said years later, "He did what we did. He'd get to the top of that mountain, frankly not easy for him, but he'd never quit. With a stopwatch in his hand, he would say, 'This might be good enough for the rest of the 506th, but it sure as hell is not good enough for Easy Company.'" Malarkey added, "In a strange way, it kind of filled you with pride. You got the idea he was hardening us for tougher times to come." Sobel often admonished his soldiers for infractions like getting lint on their chevrons or carrying a rusty bayonet. And despite the harshness of Sobel's training and his seemingly malicious behavior, his men freely admitted that he was the finest training officer they could have hoped for. One of the reasons that Easy Company excelled was undoubtedly Captain Sobel, recalled Winters, but his reign didn't last. Remember, if it's more interesting, you can find it here.